Up to 11, also phrased as these go to 11, is an idiom from popular culture, coined in the 1984 movie This Is Spinal Tap, where guitarist Nigel Tufnel proudly demonstrates an amplifier whose volume knob is marked from 0 to 11, instead of the usual 0 to 10. The primary implication of the reference is one in which things that are essentially the same are seen as different, due to mislabeling or the user's misunderstanding of the underlying operating principles. A secondary reference may be anything being exploited to its utmost limits, or apparently exceeding them. Similarly, the expression turning it up to 11 refers to the act of taking something to an extreme. In 2002, the phrase entered the Shorter Oxford English Dictionary with the definition up to maximum volume. The phrase was coined in a scene from the 1984 mockumentary/rockumentary This Is Spinal Tap by the character Nigel Tufnel, played by Christopher Guest. In this scene, Nigel gives the rockumentary's director, Marty D. Berge, played by Rob Reiner, a tour of his stage equipment. While Nigel is showing Marty his Marshall guitar amplifiers, he points out a selection whose control knobs all have a highest setting of 11, unlike standard amplifiers whose volume settings are typically numbered from 0 to 10. Believing that this numbering increases the highest volume of the amp, he explains it's one louder, isn't it? When Marty asks why the 10 setting is not simply set to be louder, Nigel hesitates before responding blankly again, these go to 11. The use of 11 as a maximum predates This Is Spinal Tap by almost 40 years. In 1947, the Baldwin Locomotive Works in the Chesapeake and Ohio Railway introduced the Chesapeake and Ohio Class M1 steam turbine locomotive. The locomotive's throttle included 11 settings, ranging from 1, idling, to 11, full speed. The locomotive's cruising speed was 70 miles per hour, 110 kilometers per hour, at which point the throttle was on 7. During a trial run with a reporter from Popular Mechanics aboard, a C&O engineer expressed his dissatisfaction with a local speed limit of 75 miles per hour, 121 kilometers per hour, noting that he would sure like to be able to pull it back to 11. Gibson Les Paul guitars with low impedance pickups were outfitted with special controls designed by Les Paul himself. Controls included a decade switch which went up to 11. As a consequence of the film, real bands and musicians started buying equipment whose knobs went up to 11, or even higher, with Eddie Van Halen reputedly being the first to do so. Marshall, the company that provided amplifiers for the film that the custom-marked knobs were applied to, now sells amplifiers such as its JCM 900. First sold in 1990, whose knobs are marked from 0 to 20. The QSC 3500 and 3800 amplifiers made for the professional sound company's Sound Image in the 1990s went to 11, as do amps from Soldano and Friedman. Other controls with a maximum of 11 include SSL mixing consoles, Amazon Alexa, the BBC's iPlayer on-demand video player, the headphone volume control on the PreSonus AudioBox 1818 VSL, the volume control on the Apogee Mini DAC, the IRIX audio panel, when invoked with the undocumented Spinal Tap option, and the Tesla Model S's volume control. The tachometer on a Singer vehicle design modified Porsche 911 goes up to 11, representing 11,000 RPM. On its primary page for This Is Spinal Tap, the IMDb displays the user rating for the film out of 11 stars, e.g. 8.0/11, instead of the standard scale of 1 to 10. However, only 10 rating stars are actually shown on the page, and user ratings can only be submitted up to 10 stars. Other IMDb pages display the rating out of 10. In the Doctor Who episode The Lazarus Experiment, the Doctor uses his sonic screwdriver to increase the volume of the pipe organ in the Southwark Cathedral, saying as he does so, "Turn this up to 11, to beat Lazarus." The influence of the phrase up to 11 has gone beyond the limits of rock music and into other realms. In 2016, for example, astronomer Christoph Stanek described the brightest known object in the universe as being as if nature took everything we know about magnetars and turned it up to 11. Swedish rock band Gain 11, winners of Emergenza Rock Festival 2016, was named as a reference to This Is Spinal Tap. In the video game Pokemon Battle Revolution, sometimes when a battle is becoming intense, the narrator will say that the energy level of the fans has been turned up to 11. In the movie Scott Pilgrim vs. the World, when Scott Pilgrim and his band, Sex Bob OMB, start their amped battle with the Kata Yanagi twins, the Japanese twins turn their audio speakers up to 11 before creating another shockwave. In the webcomic XKCD, Randleman wrote jokes on how normal people and engineers react to an amplifier that goes to 11. In Celine Dion's music video for Ashes from the Deadpool 2 soundtrack, Dion and Deadpool discuss her performance as up to 11 when Deadpool only needs it at a 5 and a half at most. Furthermore, in Deadpool 2, Soldier from the Future Cable wields a plasma blaster with a control knob that goes to 11. Loudest band in the world. Loudness war. Red line, phrase, a limit past which safety can no longer be guaranteed. References